Hi everyone, this is 7th grade Elevate. While it has been 2 weeks the students have been away from you, they will actually today be continuing the work on inequalities that they started before break. Before break, they were focusing on solving inequalities. Today, they are going to focus on writing inequalities. And so we know that inequalities have an infinite number of solutions, and you can show the solutions on a number line. Two different ways. So, an open circle, just like this, tells us that the number that we are located at is not in the solution set. So, in this example, the open circle is at 4. And that means that 4 is not part of our solution set. It's not one of our answers. However, when we have a closed circle, it lets us know that the number that we are at is included in the solution set. So this one tells us that 4 is included. It is potentially one of our answers. And so it is modeled by having this or equal to sign at the bottom. And then the arrows that are being used tell us that the solutions are infinite, right? That the solutions keep going forever in that direction, and any one of the numbers that are located within that arrow will work. So I can choose 3.5, I can choose 1.278, I can choose 2, I can choose 3, I can choose 0.675. Then it tells us that you can write an inequality to represent a real situation. Sorry. You must be over 48 inches tall to ride the roller coaster. You must be over 48 inches tall. That means that you cannot be 48 inches. You have to be taller than 48 inches. Because you cannot be 48 inches, we have to use this open circle since 48 is not included in our solution set, right? So our height has to be greater than 48. This is how you would write your equation, and this is what your inequality would look like. So in other words, if you're going to be over 48 inches, you can be 49 inches, you can be 52 inches, you can be 1,000,000 inches. But you cannot be less than 48 inches, and you cannot be 48 inches. Here's another example. It says Marcus can invite no more than 25 friends to his birthday party. No more than 25. That means he can invite 25 people, but he can't invite more than that, right? So because 25 is a potential number of friends that he can invite, that is why we have that closed circle, because it is included in our solution set. And then any number less than 25 also works. Maybe Marcus only has one friend. He can bring his one friend. Maybe he doesn't have any friends, so he is just going to have a birthday party with his family. He's going to have 0 friends, and it's going to be his family. Maybe he wants to invite all 25 people, or maybe 24 people. These are all potential answers or solutions to Marcus's problem. And then if we were going to write an equation, we would say that his friends are less than 25 or equal to 25. So his friends are less than or equal to 25. So for this lesson, we are going to start with a 6-minute model of questions A and B. Right, it says write an inequality to represent the situation. Mrs. Miller needs to bake a minimum of 6 dozen cookies for the bake sale. So here we have 2 questions that I want you to ask. The first question is, how many cookies is acceptable for her to make if she needs a minimum of 6 dozen, right? Students may struggle with minimum as a vocabulary word. What does it mean to have a minimum? So that means she can have more, she can have that amount, she can't have less than 6 dozen, right? And then students may also struggle with the language of 6 dozen. A dozen means 12, so 6 dozen is 72. If you want, you can go ahead and instead of using the language of 6 dozen, you can just use 72. So you can change the question to Miss Miller needs to bake a minimum of 72 cookies for her bake sale if that's easier for you to work with. And so our equation would be X is greater than or equal to 6 dozen, right? She can bake 6 dozen. She can also bake more than 6 dozen. And so from there, we're going to go ahead and graph this equation that we have written. Or sorry, this inequality that we have written. So we said that she can bake 6 dozen or more than that. Again, you do not have to use a language of 6 dozen. You can skip count by 12. So 0, 12, 24, 36, And then you would start at the 72 mark and then draw your inequality. Because a certain number, because she can potentially bake 72 cookies, it has to be a closed circle. So from there, you will launch students into 10 minutes of partner practice at a volume level 1. The question that you want to keep asking students is what buzzword allows you to know which inequality symbol we need to use? And then could it be less than, greater than, or equal to based on that buzzword? Students will have to write their inequality statement as well as draw the inequality for the graph. And then because this is the first lesson back after having worked on equalities for a long time, today we're just going to focus on practice. There is no exit ticket.